Welcome to Better Bazaar Builds, and today's topic is how Weatherglass is a very skill-intensive build. For those of you not aware, Weatherglass is quite strong right now, for the next 10 or so hours at least, before the new patch comes out. To quickly go over what it does, it's a Vanessa item that applies both burn and slow. Most importantly, it gains +1 multicast for every non-Weatherglass item with burn, poison, slow, or freeze, capping out at 5x multicast when maxed out. Importantly, these don't have to be distinct items. For example, its half-namesake, Weather Machine, can apply the burn, slow, and freeze on its own, already giving 4x multicast. Everyone who has played a few games of Bazaar by now knows that multicast is the most broken mechanic in the game, next to freeze, since multicast multiplies any buffs you get on the item. A +1 poison on Jellyfish is just +1 poison, but on Weatherglass, a +1 poison is the same as +5 poison. Not to mention that multicast also counts as additional triggers for, let's say, fiber optics. Combining these facts, let's take a look at the synergies for Weatherglass. Off the bat, you can tell that Weatherglass is meant to be the centerpiece of your comp. It requires to be built around, and it basically writes in its text that it needs to be paired with support and disruption items. First, let's see what items we can use to fulfill the multicast requirements. So we want an item that can burn, poison, slow, and freeze. That's right, it's port. Vanessa's personal options are quite limited for good burn and freeze items, and the best are potions. In particular, Flame Grenade can provide both the burn and slow, and Frost Potion is broken on its own. And if you don't find those, you can always use Sleep Potion for the slow and Burn Potion for the burn. The next best item with Weatherglass is Astrolabe. Not only does Weatherglass incentivize a full team comp of non-weapons to be procced by Astrolabe, the Weatherglass multicast gives multiple casts of the Astrolabe haste, making Weatherglass perma-hasted. In fact, Astrolabe is such a good partner for Weatherglass that any good Astrolabe partners are also good Weatherglass partners by proxy. For example, Pufferfish takes advantage of the constant Astrolabe procs to apply its poison. So like a good starter build could look like Weatherglass, Astrolabe, some random freeze item, some random burn item, any random friend, a loose array, and Pufferfish. These three items form the holy trinity of Weatherglass builds. It's a pick 2 out of 3 and win between Port, Astrolabe, and Pufferfish. Between Port and Astrolabe, the globe gives haste to all the potions and the port itself. The strongest and most consistent version is Astrolabe and Pufferfish, with Astrolabe providing continuous haste. And the least consistent is Port and Pufferfish, which relies on rolling a haste potion. Another good source of items is the monster fights. Rainbow Potion from Hulking Experiment and other potion fights is a natural fit. The item itself is actually rather weak, but the roll compression of all the elements allows you to fit in other items but still have your powered up Weatherglass. In fact, one of the reasons that Weatherglass is so strong is that so many monster fights offer options to help out Weatherglass, and rolling a mythic item from certain fights always allows for the option of pivoting out. And of course, there's some less obvious and less good options as well. Notably, Electric Eel, which helps a lot in getting through the early days against weapon spam builds, and Trebuchet also seems alright, even though I personally haven't gotten a good run with it. And the last thing is to try to power up your Weatherglass, not with level ups in particular, but mainly with like loot, junk, and level ups. The goal is to get those bright green and red numbers as large as possible. So what did I mean when I said that Weatherglass is a skill-intensive build? Well, the build isn't difficult to pull off yet, and probably won't be until it's nerfed. The floor of a glass in an Astrolabe practically guarantees you 7 wins. But I meant skill intensive more literally. It can be very intensive on the number of skills taken. Since you're picking up burn, poison, slow, and freeze anyways, you can and should pick up any related skills. Particularly good are the first time you do X freeze skills, which are pretty overtuned right now. There's nothing quite like your Fiery Clamora triggering your Astrolabe, which simultaneously launches 3 insta-freeze skills before your Frost Potion kicks in. That's not to say that Weatherglass doesn't take skill though. The skill floor is currently quite low, but the skill ceiling is probably one of the highest of any build. The early game is super weak since your build isn't synergistic until it comes together, so I've had to pivot into and out of Weatherglass builds from and into multiple builds, depending on what I hit and what I roll from port. In addition, since you already have the skills and items for many different build synergies, hitting anything major can also pivot you out of Weatherglass. For example, if you beat the Infernal and roll the Greatsword, it can take you out of Weatherglass and into a dedicated burn build. Or rolling an enchanted diamond item late into the game can also take you out of Weatherglass and into that build instead. So overall, Weatherglass is currently the best build, both in terms of strength, fun, and flexibility. It allows for so many different ways of high rolling, and even the typical Weatherglass game is a lot of fun. This has been Porpoise, and until next time, build better.